Many people think that the hardest part about running an agency and scaling an agency is finding and getting clients. But the fact is, if you have the right systems and the right processes in place, getting clients is actually the easy part. The hard part is actually what happens after the yes, after the sale, after the onboarding. And the fact is, if you don't actually have the right systems and processes in your agency and in your creative business, you're going to experience stress, you're going to experience friction, and you're going to experience burnout. I know this all too well because on more than one occasion, I was tempted to actually shut the doors of my agency and walk away and do something else because I was feeling stretched too thin and I was experiencing burnout and I didn't know how to fix it. So if you're an agency owner and you love what you do, you love working with your clients, you're passionate about the work that you're doing and you're good at it, you're proficient, but you're experiencing burnout and stress and you don't actually know what to do about it, then this video is for you. If we haven't met yet, my name is Brandan Ritchey. I own a creative agency called Ritchey Creative, and essentially we help great organizations build websites that actually get results, and we help creative individuals build and scale creative agencies that are more profitable with less stress. In this training video, we're going to go over why so many agency owners are shutting their doors and walking away, the 4 different pressure points that every single agency owner feels, and how to relieve agency pressure so that you can grow and scale effectively. Before we do anything else, I think it's important to kind of take a state of the union assessment of where we're currently at with the agency owner landscape. So if we look at a study here from Billion Dollar Boy, found that 52% of creators have experienced burnout and 37% have considered quitting their industry altogether. So again, it's not because of a lack of proficiency or a lack of skill or a lack of passion. You don't like doing what you're doing or you don't like actually solving the problem that you're solving for your end user, but it's because of stress. It's because of feeling stressed too thin. And ultimately it's because of burnout. So what we found is that there's actually 4 different categories of burnout that agency owners are plagued by. And each of these 4 is important to understand. And it's important to figure out how you can actually mitigate some of the stress and some of the friction points and some of the pressure points from each of these different 4 categories of burnout. So we call this the burnout stack. Number 1 is emotional burnout. Number 2 is operational burnout. Number 3 is cognitive burnout. And number 4 is identity burnout. So another way to say this is the emotional burnout is burnout that you're experiencing because of what's happening in your heart. The operational burnout is burnout that you're experiencing because of what's going on and what you're doing with your hands day in and day out in the operation of your business. The cognitive burnout is burnout that you're experiencing because of what's happening in your mind. And of course, the identity burnout is a little bit more existential. This is kind of what's happening in your soul or what's happening sort of on an existential level with your identity in your business as an agency owner. Okay, so let's kick things off with the first category of burnout in the burnout stack, which is emotional burnout. The fact is, as an agency owner, when you're starting a business, when you're starting especially a creative business, there's a lot of subjectivity, right? One person might like a different kind of logo or a different style of graphic design or a different style of website or even different style of posts or captions or writing for your social media clients. And so there's a lot of things that are subjective and every client's going to have different opinions. But as an agency owner, what you're doing is very personal. So it's not as transactional as other types of businesses, but it's a creative business. It's something that you're pouring your heart and your soul and your ideas and your mind into. And because of that, when you get critiques from clients, especially if they're negative critiques or vague critiques or hurtful critiques, you're very tempted to take it personally. And this can really do some damage on your heart and on your emotions as you're trying to grow and scale your creative business. Okay, so let's pull the curtain back a little bit and give some examples of what could cause emotional pressure or emotional burnout for you as an agency owner. So a web design agency might have a client that responds to a first draft of a website by saying, "This just doesn't feel right." Well, that's very vague and you're not really giving any clarity as to what would feel right. Or you might have feedback coming from multiple stakeholders instead of one point person. A graphic designer might have clients that are replying to the first draft of a logo with something like, "I don't like it," and that's it. Or you might have logos that are being judged on personal taste instead of strategy or what the brand actually needs. So they're not thinking about their end user or their industry or any of the strategy, but they're giving feedback solely based off of what they personally like or don't like. So again, it's very easy to take offense to all of these different things regardless of your agency type. But we have to remember that if we want to avoid the emotional burnout, we need to come up with a good system and a new way of thinking so that we're not taking every single piece of feedback critically and personally, but instead realizing that it's just business. Okay, so here are the top 4 recommendations for how to safeguard your heart and safeguard your emotions so that you don't experience emotional burnout as an agency owner. Number 1, define success before the project starts. Number 2, anchor feedback to goals, not personal taste. Number 3, limit who gives feedback and when. And number 4, use structured review points. Here's the fact. Your clients, your customers need to be trained. They need to be coached. You don't think about that a lot, but if you're on the onboarding call with them or even on the sales call with them before they actually become a paying client, you need to actually walk them through what the review process looks like, how to give feedback. For instance, for our agency, whether we're doing a logo design or a website design or something else, we always say, hey, the best way to give edits and revisions is with a Google Doc. That's what we prefer. You might prefer emails back and forth or something else. But for our agency, we don't want clients giving feedback and revisions live over a phone call or through a text message or through Facebook Messenger. Google Docs works best for us, but you might have a different system that works best for you and for your agency. And so again, coach your clients, train your clients on the initial sales call, on the onboarding call, and it's going to make it that much more smooth. And then secondly here, you need to separate a little bit your work from your heart. And so I know it's very easy for creative individuals especially to put their heart and put their soul into everything that they're building and everything that they're creating. But again, you need to disassociate yourself a little bit from the work that you're actually producing. Otherwise, every single edit, every single piece of feedback is going to feel like a personal attack. Okay, so we covered the first category of burnout in the burnout stack, which is emotional burnout. The second one is operational burnout. Now, this one might not actually feel like a problem at first because it really looks a lot like being productive and being busy. You're getting more projects, you're getting more clients, you're getting more customers, and you're getting more work, which is good. It feels like a good problem to have until it's not. Because if you don't actually have the right systems and processes in place to help you actually keep up with the work and be productive and stay organized, then you might actually disappoint your clients or disappoint your customers because the work might be a little bit more sloppy or you're not actually able to meet the deadlines that you promised that you would meet. In the early years at Ritchey Creative, I didn't have any great systems or processes for project management in place. And I was kind of just using my inbox, using my email as sort of a to-do list. I was just showing up every single morning and saying, okay, what needs to get done today? And I quickly outgrew that framework because I needed to build something that could actually help me to keep up with multiple website design projects and branding projects at once. And the more that you grow and scale, the more that you're going to need to rely on good systems and processes and tools to help you take on more and more work while keeping quality high and meeting all of your deadlines. And so these are some really practical examples of things that could happen to you as an agency owner that could lead to operational pressure or operational burnout. Number one, a web design agency might have multiple website builds happening at once without a centralized place for content, feedback, and design notes, or clients emailing feedback, texting feedback, and commenting in different places. For a graphic designer, you might have multiple design requests coming in with no prioritization system, or a client sending quick tweaks that pile up and interrupt the planned work. So again, all of this builds up into feeling like you need more time, but more time isn't the solution because if you had more time, you would just have this problem on a larger scale. So here are the top tips to relieve some of this operational pressure, operational stress to prevent operational burnout. Number one central project management system so that tasks, timelines, and ownership are clear. We use Monday.com. There is Asana, there's Basecamp. There's a lot of different places where you can keep all of your different workflows and tasks assigned to different people, where you can have edits and feedback kind of going on in one place. But again, one project management tool where everything lives. Number two, one primary place for collaboration and feedback, not scattered across emails, text messages, or DMs. Number three, clearly define project stages so work doesn't move forward without required inputs. Number four, this is a big one. Clear scope and revision boundaries so projects don't slowly expand. This needs to be in your contract, in your agreement. And then the last one here, tools and templates that speed up repeat work instead of reinventing the process each time. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't create something unique for the brand and for the organization that you're working for, because every brand should be unique because it has a unique DNA. But as far as the actual workflow goes, what templates and tools can you incorporate so that things are working more efficiently and more smoothly with less time and less stress? Okay, moving on to the third category of pressure or burnout that you might be experiencing as an agency owner, cognitive burnout. This is your mind, what your mind is thinking, racing from one thing to another, constantly making decisions and then switching to a different type of work. And so if you're constantly moving from one type of work to a different type of work, then you're going to experience a little bit of stress and burnout from this. So here are some examples of what this might actually look like manifested in your creative business or in your agency. So a web design agency might constantly be switching between client builds, emails, and internal questions, or there's no uninterrupted build or strategy time. So because of that, they're trying to spend a little bit of time building the website or doing some creative work, and then they're switching over to emails or some admin task. A graphic designer might have constant task switching or difficulty focusing creatively. A social media manager might have notifications that are never stopping, especially if you're managing several different social media accounts for several different businesses. So regardless of what kind of agency you actually have, there's so many different facets to running a creative business or running an agency. There's the actual work that you're doing for your clients, and there's the admin. What are you doing to actually get leads and get clients and nurture those clients? What are you doing for promotion, your own social media? And so there's so many different things that you're constantly thinking about and worrying about as an agency owner, and all of this can pile up into what we refer to as cognitive burnout. And so here are the top 5 things we recommend to eliminate and to mitigate some of this cognitive burnout. Number 1, daily task list with prioritized listings. I do this every single day. When I show up to my office, I sit down at my desk, and the first thing I do before I check emails, before I look at any of the projects that need to get done, I pull out a piece of paper and a pencil, and I write down everything that needs to get done. I check our project management system, write it on the list. I check my emails, write it on the list. And then once everything is on the list that needs to happen that day, then I start numbering. What is the thing that is the highest priority, the second priority, the third priority? And so you need to figure out what is urgent, what's not urgent, what's time sensitive, what's not time sensitive, and then put together a really good list of all the things that you're going to do in that specific order. Okay, number 2, batch tasks. What we mean by batching is it's a lot of pressure and a lot of stress on your brain to constantly switch between, okay, how am I going to get clients? Okay, I got to do the creative work. I got to send some emails. And so if you're constantly switching between different types of tasks, that can really do some wear and tear on your mental energy. And so if you're in creative mode, be in creative mode for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours uninterrupted without even checking your email once. Then dedicate a certain part of the day to do all of your admin, all of your emails, all of your different spreadsheets or whatever you got to do for your business. But really, if you can batch some of these tasks together, it's going to eliminate some of the mental gymnastics that you're having to do day in and day out in your business. The next one here is protect your work-life balance. It's important to rest when you're resting and work when you're working. You don't want to be checking your emails and answering sales calls when you're with your family, but also you don't want to be getting distracted or looking at social media or Facebook when you should be working. Okay, next one here on the list, batch communication. We talked about batching already a little bit, but even with your communication, your emails, your phone calls, batching that together. And then the last one here, protect deep work time. There's something called deep work where you're in the flow state, you're in the zone, and there's creative juices flowing. You want to protect that time. And so one of the best ways to do this is just put your notifications off on your phone or turn it on airplane mode. Don't answer phone calls. Really lean into this deep work time because this is when you can be the most efficient and the most productive in your agency and in your creative business. Okay, so far we talked about 3 out of the 4 types of burnout in the burnout stack. We talked about emotional, we talked about operational, we talked about cognitive. And this one is the 4th and final one, which is identity burnout. And this is the one that you probably actually feel the most, even if you don't realize it, because this is a little bit existential. You're wondering, am I actually qualified for the work that I'm doing? You start to feel a little bit of that imposter syndrome. Why am I doing this? What's the meaning of all of this? What's the purpose behind this? So some of the different ways that you might actually be experiencing this practically in your agency day in and day out is if you're a web design agency, maybe you're questioning whether your agency is actually worth the effort or you're feeling trapped by your client expectations. If you're a graphic designer, maybe you're losing confidence in your creative ability or you're wondering if the passion is just gone. A photographer might be losing joy in photo shoots, something that you used to love. Now it actually is something that you're not really looking forward to and even dreading. Or you're feeling like creativity has become transactional. So there's so many different things that could happen in your business for you to feel some of this identity pressure or identity burnout. Simon Sinek, he is the author of Start With Why, which is a fantastic book. He's known for saying that burnout isn't caused by too much work, it's caused by too little meaning. So if you can't actually tie yourself back to the purpose, why you're doing this in the first place, then you're going to feel a little bit of this burnout and a little bit of this identity crisis. So in terms of relieving and mitigating some of this identity pressure or identity burnout, here are 5 things that I recommend. Number 1, clarifying what success actually looks like for you. Success doesn't always mean more money. Maybe it's more time. Maybe it's less stress. Maybe it's more time with your family, being able to actually take a vacation when you want to. And so if you can actually clarify what does success actually look like, then you're not going to be looking at other metrics that don't actually matter to you and taking those super personally if you don't actually hit those metrics. The next one here is trying to spend more time doing what you enjoy instead of what drains you. The third one is reconnecting daily work with clear purpose. You're answering emails, you're doing admin work, you're doing grunt work, we all do it. But if you can actually connect those daily tasks and the things that you have to do day in and day out with the bigger reason, the bigger purpose, the bigger problem that you're actually solving for your customers and for the world, it's going to make this identity pressure and identity burnout a little bit less impactful. And then designing the business around your strengths instead of your weaknesses. clients. And then, of course, looking at your positive reviews and feedback from past clients. You have people probably who have written Google reviews about you, talking about how great you are, how creative you are, how good you are at communicating or helping to solve their problem. And so when things get tough and you're starting to feel some of this identity burnout, look at those reviews, look at those comments, look at those emails of clients who have been raving about you, because again, seeing some of that old feedback from happy customers is going to anchor you and help you to start remembering why you actually decided to do this in the first place. Okay, so at some point, every agency owner is going to experience some degree or some level of burnout, whether it's emotional burnout or operational burnout or cognitive burnout or identity burnout. But it's important as you're growing and scaling your business and scaling your agency that you're trying to figure out how you can actually eliminate and mitigate some of this friction, some of this stress, and some of these different levels of burnout. By the way, if you're an agency owner or a creative business owner that really just needs help thinking through how do I actually get more clients and nurture those clients, and what does a successful client or customer journey actually look like, we have a one-on-one live coaching program called Agency Accelerator. I'm going to put a link in the description, but essentially we walk you through all the different parts of building an agency that is more profitable with less stress. So if you're interested in that, again, it's a one-on-one live coaching program with me personally. But again, we learn about your specific agency, your specific business, your specific audience, and then we walk you through the steps that you need to scale your business to be more profitable with less stress. So again, links in the description for that, the Agency Accelerator live one-on-one coaching program. Well, hopefully this was a helpful video. I also just wanted to say a quick thank you to everybody who likes these videos and is subscribed to the channel. It means a ton to me personally, so thank you so much. Remember, you can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. Stay creative, and we'll catch you next time.